Video 2, walkthrough of the mental factor. If this is the first time your pupil or pupils have been on the psychoanalysis app, then when they select mental factor, they'll be asked to either log in or register here. Obviously, if it's their first time, they'll have to register with the PE Psychoanalysis app. All they have to do is pop in their name, an easy to remember username, an email address. They'll also select from a drop-down of about 360 secondary schools in Scotland. They'll pop in their password and they'll confirm their password. Now, in terms of email, there's only two reasons why we require email. First of all, if a school is using a class set of iPads or devices or tablets, then it means that if a pupil logs out of a device, they can then log back into another device using their email authentication, and all their data is there against their profile. And it just means that if you are sharing devices, period to period, week by week, term to term, your data follows you with your profile. The second reason, of course, if a young person forgets their password, then they can be emailed a brand new password to then get back in to their profile on the Psychoanalysis app. So once all the fields have been filled in there, it's just a case of clicking register, and then they're good to go with sign in. So in terms of sign in, it's just a case of popping in your username and your password and then click login. As I say, if they forget their password, bottom left will sort that and they will receive a brand new password through email. Okay, so once pupils are logged in, they're then free to use the app. So this is video number 2. And it's a walkthrough of the mental factors. So we're clicking on our brain icon in blue top left. That takes us into a menu of the psychoanalysis effectively. So factors impacting on performance in relation to the mental factor, data collection methods, approaches to develop mental performance, and tools to monitor and evaluate. Now, I'm not going to take you through every single function and pathway here because I could be here for hours, but I'm just going to take you through a potential pathway that a pupil might look at. So let's click on factors impacting on performance, and that brings in decision making, level of arousal, mental toughness, and concentration. So if we click on decision making, what we see here is we're going to give an exemplification of what decision making looks like in a performance context. You can see it's going to be basketball, and that just allows a young person to paint a picture of what it looks like to be a quality decision maker during performance. We've got a clear definition of what decision making is in a physical education context, and we also have positive impact on performance and negative impact on performance in relation to decision making, and both of these follow the FACI structure of factor, activity, context, and impact. If we click on the video itself, again, it just paints that very clear picture of what we're looking for. We have Shannon here, our shooting guard, who's going to receive the ball off her forward. She's going to dribble and drive up the court as any good guard would. She attacks her guard on the weak side and hits a lovely layup. Second exemplification of good decision making, receives the ball off her centre. Again, she dribbles and drives, takes on her guard, centre posts up, she creates space on the outside and hits a lovely jump shot. So it just gives a very clear exemplification to our pupils of what quality decision making looks like in a performance context. And that's what our factors impacting on performance section is all about across all factors: mental, emotional, social, and physical. If we click into our data collection methods, we have a model performance video comparison. We'll go into that in one of the other 3 factors because it features throughout the app. But we're going to click on mental toughness questionnaire. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this questionnaire in its entirety, 14 questions in total. And what you'll notice is our built-in background coding, which for me is completely sector leading. The app allows us to compare against standardized norms, compare against values, compare against previous credible questionnaires, and it will formulate answers based upon what you input to the app. So we're just going to go through each of the questions just now. I'll do it at a pace that we can all read the question. And of course, when it comes to any type of data collection, it's really important that it's our best effort. We're fully focused, we're being truthful, we're being honest, because we need to make sure that we have a quality answer come the finish. And what the app does, as I say, is it generates an answer based upon what we have inputted. So the app is saying here, based upon my answers, I actually have poor mental toughness. And it's suggesting that I should be using mental rehearsal and positive self-talk to develop and improve my mental toughness against the mental factor. Now, what you can do is you might think to yourself, do you know what, I rushed that a little bit. I want to go back in and rethink some of my answers, in which case you can restart the questionnaire. Or indeed, if you think, do you know what, I wasn't overly truthful there, you can go back in and you can redo that questionnaire. If you think, yeah, that is a fair reflection, that's exactly how I feel before performance or during performance or after performance, we can then visit our approach section. Again, I'm not going to go through both of the approaches here, but we have mental rehearsal, we have positive self-talk, and I'm going to click on mental rehearsal. So again, very similar to our factors impacting on performance section, our approach section gives a video exemplification of what the approach looks like in practice. And then there's also going to be an area where we highlight benefits and limitations of using this approach. So we're looking at mental rehearsal here. We're thinking about the perfect dive entry. You can see that this performer has his eyes closed. He's breathing in, he's breathing out. He's trying to visualise a quality performance through mental rehearsal. He's also utilising music to try and calm himself down to make sure he gets that perfect entry. And we can see here, positive impact on performance. Really dynamic, really powerful, straight into his front crawl. So as I say, we can click on our benefits and limitations screen, and that just gives some clear exemplification about positives and negatives or benefits and limitations of utilising this approach to develop the mental factor. So just to come out of that then, we're now going to pop into our monitoring and evaluation section. We have our mental training diary, which really tries to focus the pupil's mind in terms of what's going well, what do I need to work on, creates this evaluative thinking. We can also obviously revisit our model performance comparison, and we can revisit our mental toughness questionnaire to check for improvements before, during and after our personal development programme. So let's consider then that we have gathered data, we've identified that mental toughness is an area that we need to work on, we've looked at approaches to develop this, and we've embarked on our own PDP. We're now potentially at a midpoint or at an end point, revisiting our mental toughness questionnaire to check and measure improvements that have been made. So again, we would then go back into the questionnaire and we would fill out how we feel at that moment in time in relation to our levels of mental toughness. And of course, we know if our PDP has been successful, we should see an improvement in our performance. So we're now saying that this individual has good mental toughness. And again, we're saying that they can go back to the approaches again to build on this further, or we can restart the questionnaire if, again, for whatever reason, the individual rushed the questionnaire, or they felt as if they maybe didn't quite understand the question, or they felt they weren't being truthful. So that allows us to track and monitor and compare our performance throughout our PDP.